This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period, both in person and around the globe.
Remember that? When newly minted Press Secretary Sean Spicer presented that whopper the day after the former president's inauguration, you would be forgiven for thinking it seemed ridiculous. Well, because it was. But only if you were not familiar with his then boss, since Donald Trump's entire existence has been one giant hyper-exaggeration, especially when it comes to his supposed wealth.
I built something that's recognized even today in negative times as being immense and potentially extremely valuable.
You'd put up $600 million for this?
Absolutely, assuming I'm doing well.
Do you have $600 million to spare?
Much more than that. Part of the beauty of me is that I'm very rich. Because I don't need anybody's money. It's nice. I don't need anybody's money. I don't care. I'm really rich. And then they had, oh, but he'll never put in his financials, because maybe he's not as rich as people think. But then it turned out I was much richer. Now they don't know what, they're really screwed up. Much richer. I did too well. I made too much and I did too well. And that's the way it is. So I can't be bought.
Well, in the midst of all of that, in 2005, author Tim O'Brien wrote his book, Trump Nation. The Trump actually wasn't a billionaire, as he had claimed to be. And people he'd spoken to estimated Trump's net worth at between $150 and $250 million. Still a lot of money, but not $1 billion. Habitual fabulous Donald Trump then made the colossally dumb decision to sue O'Brien. Trump, of course, lost, but in the process made O'Brien one of the few people to see Trump challenged on his lies under oath, more than 30 times, in fact, in a December 2007 deposition. Tim O'Brien joins me now. He is senior executive editor of Bloomberg Opinion and an MSNBC political analyst. We've talked about this so many times over the years, Tim. I am so glad to get a chance to talk to you again about it today. I mean, the thing about Donald Trump is he's always lied, and claiming to be a billionaire and fronting as a billionaire, it was like fundamental to his brand. It's why he got The Apprentice. Mark Burnett, they sold this complete BS, and people bought it, including the media.
Well, and the idea also that he was self-made.
Yes.
You know, Donald Trump is a guy who was born on third base and has spent his life telling people he hit a triple. You know, he would not have been able to enter the Manhattan real estate market without his father's money joy. His father bailed him out repeatedly when he made numerous different mistakes, but taking on debt, not running businesses properly, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, one of the interesting things in my book is the pages that discuss his net worth are only 2 to 3 pages of a much longer book. And that's what he zeroed in on. And I think the reason he zeroed in on it is because he is so wildly insecure about who he is and what he's done that he constantly needs to bloviate. And by the way, it's not just his wealth. He talks about his intellect. He talks about how attractive he is to women. He talks about his physicality. He talks about his money. There is nothing about his identity that he's not insecure about, but he sees money as a scorecard. And the reality is he was never the biggest real estate developer in Manhattan. He is not a self-made man. And at the time I was writing the book, he was telling me he was worth anywhere from $3 billion to $9 billion. Sometimes those valuations differed in the same day when I spent time with him. And I think the fact that he decided to sue me over it is a reflection of how aware he is that his lies reside very close to the surface. And of course, the difference when I wrote the book was I was not a prosecutor. And now though that same great inflation that he indulged in is the subject of an indictment.
I mean, it's all coming apart. And the thing that's so ironic, and we've talked about this book in the past, if he had not run for president, he probably would have continued to get away with it. I mean, Cy Vance, the former Manhattan DA, had no intention of ever touching him, clearly. He didn't do anything. He was there forever. He'd gotten away with this forever. The closest he ever got to being to $1 billion was losing $900 million, like going in the hole, almost $1 billion. That's the closest he ever got to it. Let me read a little bit from the 2007 deposition. Lawyer, Mr. Trump, have you always been completely truthful in your public statements about your net worth of properties? Trump, I try. Lawyer, have you ever not been truthful? Trump, my net worth fluctuates, and it goes up and down with markets and with my attitudes and with feelings, even my own feelings. I try. His net worth is based on his feelings?
Yeah, the translation of that is I make it up.
Yes.
You know, at another point in that same deposition, Joy, we were asking him about how he figured out the value of some of his various golf courses, and he acknowledged, he said that he didn't keep just standard profit and loss statements that would help him figure out how profitable the golf courses were. Whether or not that was true, he said it in the deposition. And so my lawyer said, well, then how do you calculate the value of the golf courses? And he said, I use mental projections. And, you know, Donald Trump's entire life is about mental projections.
Yes. And the power of positive thinking. And he passed it on to his sons. I mean, it was his own son, the second fails of the younger one, who told us, oh, no, we don't need loans. We get all our money from Russia. And then they're shocked that people are like, you get your money from Russia, and want to investigate it. I mean, let's go through
By the way, that's Eric.
That's
Eric Trump who said that. And Eric is the same individual who took the fifth, I think, over 500 times during his deposition with Letitia James's prosecutors. That's going to be tested in court now.
Exactly. Here's another from the deposition. Have you ever lied in public statements about your properties? You always, when you're making a public statement, you want to put the most positive. You want to say it the most positive way possible. I'm no different from a politician running for office. You want to put the best foot forward. But Tim, he said that his old 1980s era 11,000 square foot triplex in Trump Tower was 30,000 square feet and worth like $300 million. That isn't just lying. It's madness. Go ahead.
Well, it's pathologic. You know, he also added invisible floors to Trump Tower to increase the height of the building. He lied about what he was paid in speaking fees. He lied about the amount of money he got for condominiums when he sold them. He's lied about his grades. He's lied about his academic record.
Yes.
I think the issue for Tish James is convincing a jury that he so successfully duped his lenders that a crime was committed. That's a high hurdle. I think it's a civil case, and I think she's got a lot of wind at her back. But that, you know, that gap between exaggeration, bloviation, and lying and committing a crime is the test of this whole thing.
It absolutely is. It's going to be fascinating to watch because, yes, if it becomes criminal, it's a higher burden of proof, too. So we shall see what happens. Tim O'Brien, always a pleasure. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Joy.
Appreciate you.